This year for Thanksgiving, I am thankful we are done with international breaks in 2023 and we can get back to what really matters, and that is club football. Things kick off in a big way Saturday at 7:30 when Manchester City hosts Liverpool in another edition of 1 versus 2 in the Premier League. Welcome back to the Plus Money Podcast, your home for the best soccer bets in 15 minutes or less. I'm Andrew Passaro, and making his monthly appearance on the pod is Mr. Nick Dianni of the Kicks and Picks Pod at Kicks Picks Pod. Follow him on Twitter at Nick Dianni. Follow us at the Plus Money Pod at Andrew Passaro. Welcome back. We have a big weekend. How are you, my friend?
Well, it's good, man. Thank you for having me on as always. I think you hit the nail on the head, man. European qualifiers, as they have been for like the past 2 years, are just so hit or miss. I think I actually made it out of this one okay. Did pretty well in South America, but we got a big slate ahead of us. So I'm excited to keep that streak rolling.
All right, well, there's one place to start. It's, like I said, Manchester City play Liverpool, the dreaded 7:30 a.m. kickoff. I think this is like the 12th 7:30 kickoff that Jurgen Klopp has had to handle in the post-international break in his tenure. Only Tottenham have played. Tottenham haven't played more. They've played the second highest, and that's 6. So I'm not going to sit here and get the conspiracy theories going. But I do have a lot of stats for you. City play Liverpool. Liverpool have not won at City in the Premier League since 15-16. Manuel Pellegrini was coaching Manchester City at the time, and their backline included Mangala, Di Michaelis, Kolarov, and I'm blanking on his name. He was Bakary Sagna was the back line for Manchester City that day. And Skirtle and Dejan Lovren were playing center back for Liverpool at the time. Since Pep took over at City in 2016, Liverpool have only won at the Etihad once, and that was in the Champions League in April of 2018, a 2-1 victory. The over 3.5 has hit in 4 out of 7 EPL matches at City, and 5 of those 7 have gone both teams to score. The over 3.5 has hit in 4 of the last 5 matches straight up. I did take the Community Shield out of that one. It did hit in the Community Shield, so I guess you could call that 5 out of their last 6. City in big games this season, they won 1-0 at Newcastle, 1-0 loss at Arsenal, a 3-0 win at Man United, and a 4-4 thriller against Chelsea right before the international break. There are some injury concerns. Erling Haaland returning early from international duty with Norway, nursing an ankle injury. John Stones is expected to miss. In terms of Liverpool, it looks like some of the names that were added to the sheet in their last match before the international break, a lot of them seem to be back. Expect Gravenberch to be healthy. Alexis McAllister was only suspended for 1 game. Curtis Jones could be healthy as well. So Liverpool could throw, and Ibrahim Konate expected to be relatively healthy as well. So Liverpool could throw out what is probably their best 11, and a lot of players scoring an international break. Darwin Núñez, 3 goals for Uruguay. Mo Salah, 4 goals for Egypt. Luis Diaz, 2 goals for Colombia, and Szoboszlai assists and goals for Hungary. While he played, Harvey Elliott, I think, scored 2 goals for the England U21s. In case you have noticed, I've been paying attention to a lot of soccer over the last few weeks. Just because this podcast was off doesn't mean I was sleeping. I think there's one place you have to go, and I think it's the over 3.5 in both teams to score. It's at plus 135. It's just I'm saying this as a Liverpool fan, and Nick's obviously wearing a Liverpool shirt as well. If you're not watching on the YouTube, go watch on the YouTube. Please subscribe and like. I think that I think we've seen City be a little suspect at the back. We've seen them turn the team over a little bit, and there isn't as exactly the same amount of like players with the same amount of like, they just want to treble. How do you follow that up? You see that happen in so many other leagues where you win the title and it doesn't exactly like keep going. And I'm not going to say that City haven't been excellent this year. They have, but I don't think they've hit, third gear or whatever. And I'm very curious to see how this game plays out. I'm going to play the over 3.5, and I'm going to emotionally hate myself for this next one. I'm going to take Liverpool plus half a goal at plus 110. I do think they could get a draw. And if Liverpool win this game, I'm putting a future on them to win the Premier League, because if they win at City for the first time in the Pep Guardiola era in the Premier League, I think they could do something very special this year. I'm expecting City to win. I'm expecting this game to be kind of crazy. And I couldn't find a prop on it based on the time of when we're recording this. I don't think a red card in the match is a ridiculous bet off
Yep.
the pure incompetence that we have seen from VAR and from referees this season, and what we've seen happen to Liverpool in big games. Obviously, the red card in the Newcastle match, obviously, the 2 red cards in this Tottenham game. So I think they've kind of gotten those out of their system, hopefully. But those are I think the over 3.5 and both teams to score is my definite play. If you're a Liverpool fan like me, you're going to take them on the spread.
So you mentioned my monthly appearance. I will say, as is tradition for every time I come on the show, we talk about what games we're going to talk about. We don't go over our bets with each other. But as usual, you've taken not only all my bets, but all of my talking points. I think that, listen, it goes without saying the over is what everybody's going to want to bet and want to see. These two teams have lived up to that hype so far this season. A point I was going to make was many of Liverpool's stars looked really good in the international break. You touched on that. And I've said this on my show a couple of times. I mean, I don't know how you feel if you're the rest of the league. There's 2 ways to look at it. Man City's in first place, but we're only 1, 2, 3 points back. So you feel pretty good about it. Or do you look at it and say, man, City's already dropped points in 3 games through 12. Like, I don't know how many games it took them last year, the year before to drop, points in 3 games, and they're still in first. So that's a little disheartening, but I think this is a great spot for Liverpool. I think this is the best or worst timing, I guess, depending on how you're looking at it coming out of the international break, but it's probably when you want to catch City. So I also like Liverpool on the spread. I'm going to take it a step further. I'm going to go to the Asian handicap. If anybody is unfamiliar with the Asian handicap, it's a split line bet. So you're essentially taking 2 bets with your 1 unit stake. So I like Liverpool plus 0.75 goals. That's at minus 110. So that means if Liverpool draw, you're getting that plus half a goal or better, you're winning your bet. If Liverpool win, obviously you win your bet. But if Liverpool lose by 1, you only lose half your stake. So that's where that 0.75 comes in. It's the split between half a goal and 1 goal. So I'm willing to risk a little bit more juice here at minus 110 to say, hey, City pull out that 1 goal win. We're only losing half of our bet here. But to follow Andrew's logic, I do like Liverpool on the spread. I think they actually get a result here. I think they get a draw or better. The only thing that makes me a little bit wary is that they're away from home, but way too good of a number for 2 pretty evenly matched teams. You got to go with Liverpool in this one.
Yeah, I think if this was at neutral territory, like it was at the Etihad, or I'm sorry, like it was at Wembley a few years ago in the FA Cup, I would absolutely be putting my money on the line to take Liverpool money line, and I think Liverpool are plus anywhere between plus 330, plus 350 to win the game straight up. You are a better man than I if you are taking that this weekend and it hits. I will be the first to admit that. But let's go to the Battle of Burgundy and Sky Blue when Burnley take on West Ham, 10 a.m. I think I've mentioned this before. Both teams to score has hit in 14 of 18 West Ham matches. I would be leery taking this on if it was West Ham at home, but they are on the road. So I will be taking over 2.5 and both teams to score. If you take that straight up in FanDuel right now, like the actual prop at the bottom of the goals tab, for some reason it's minus 105. If you parlay it yourself and do the extra 2 clicks of a button, it's minus 101. Again, still waiting on some corner props and shot props to become available. So I may tag on over 6.5 corners to get this up to like maybe a plus 125. But I do like over 2.5 and both teams to score in this one. I think West Ham have been kind of a team that I try not to bet on to win because they have hurt me many times. But I do think that this has 2-1 written all over it, and I think it could go either way. Burnley definitely given a little bit of a lifeline with Everton's points deduction, so they should be taking this one very seriously.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you got to rename the both teams to score an over parlay to like the plus money pod parlay or something because it's your go-to bet. I mean, I love it.
It's our thing. It's our thing here.
But I agree with you. West Ham has burned us all in the past, but I think they're just too good for this Burnley side. We got Burnley, who's losers of 5, 6, 7 straight. I don't even know how many they've lost. They're on 4 points. West Ham's too good. We can get them on the money line at plus 105. I think this is a game that I don't want to overthink. The number is fantastic. You're going to take, the 8th, 9th place team over the last place team at plus money. If it doesn't hit, it doesn't hit, but I'm willing to live with that loss. I think I agree. West Ham should be good for 2 goals. I mean, their team total might be in play in this one as well if you're not feeling the money line, but I think plus 105 is just too good of a number to pass.
All right, well, you're sticking with another team in the Premier League, and that's London-based. Brentford take on Arsenal, 12:30 Saturday.
Yeah, same situation here. I mean, let's give Brentford some credit, right? They've looked okay. They're 4 wins, 4 draws, 4 losses, but 3 of those 4 wins have come in their last 5 matches. I just think, again, this is another scenario where Arsenal's going to hope to win. They are away. It's a little bit trickier, but minus 130 on Arsenal, you don't get that too many times this year. Strictly a numbers play. You take Arsenal, you live with the result. I mean, that's kind of my theme for the Premier League this weekend. There's a lot of strange numbers. Some of them will be trap games. We're not going to hit them all, unfortunately. I hope we're going to hit the ones that we give out here on the show. But, you just got to stick to basics and not overthink it in this scenario. Arsenal minus 130. They're taking on Brentford. They should be minus 250, right? Or worse. So anytime you can kind of make up that deficit, you live with the results.
I did in my Google Doc here in all caps, underlined, bold, do not touch Newcastle money line plus 155. They're taking on Chelsea. Yes, Chelsea do not travel well to Newcastle, but everybody is hurt for Newcastle right now. Like, I beg of you, if there's one thing you take from this podcast, and Newcastle might win the game, I'm telling you, do not touch Newcastle money line plus 155. That is, if you take one thing from this podcast, it's the over 3.5 in Liverpool, and it's the don't touch Newcastle money line. Let's go to Sunday. I'll start with one of the earlier games. It's Tottenham taking on Aston Villa. Much like Newcastle, I don't know who's going to be playing for Tottenham because all their center backs are like hurt or suspended. James Maddison is hurt. Villa have allowed a goal in their last 5 games. Villa are plus 175 on the money line. And Villa need this win. They have kind of beaten everyone that they're supposed to, bar Nottingham Forest a couple weeks ago when they burned us.
Guess who was on Villa that game? Yeah.
Both of us. We were both on Aston Villa that game. Villa are technically on the do not bet list that we have going. That it's like the unwritten rules of baseball. It's an unwritten list of teams that I don't bet on, and I really need to write it down so that I remember who not to bet down. I'm gonna roll the dice here with Villa because Tottenham are so beaten up and the number is too good. And I don't think that Villa and both teams to score at plus 330 is that ridiculous here. You've given up a goal in their last 5 games. Tottenham are at home. You still have Heung-min Son. Maybe Son gets on the end of one. But there's a lot of positive Villa propaganda going around. And as an owner of a Villa to finish in the top 6 ticket, I'm ready to believe it. And this is one of those games that I need them to show up to make me believe it. So love Villa money line plus 175, maybe a sprinkle on the both teams to score plus 330.
Yeah, this is a tough game. I like those bets. I think it could go either way. This is kind of Liverpool City light in that regard. I think both teams are scoring over 2 goals a match. Both teams are conceding over 1 goal a match. The over is a little bit chalky here. It's actually set at 3.5. So I like to bring that down on the Asian total and put it at over 3. It's at minus 135. It's like just on the edge of, do I want to play it? Do I not want to play it? But I would hate for this game to settle on 3 goals and you lose at 3.5. So I like over 3. If I was going to play something, kind of my only lean in this one. I think I will ride with you and root for you on your bet, but this is a tough match for me.
All right. You've got what's going to be the craziest game of the weekend. And I say that knowing we've got Liverpool City. Everton coming off a 10-point deduction are hosting Manchester United. Everton have been in decent form. I hate to say this. And I had people in my DMs telling me I'm taking Everton money line. I'm taking Everton draw no bet. How do you see this one playing out? Everton are plus 175, the draw plus 240, and Man United plus 150. Those across the lines there.
All right. So let me preface this by saying I think Everton has burned us 3 weeks straight. I've been against them and they've gotten results, right? I think 2 wins and a draw in their last 3. United have no draws on the season, miraculously, right? 7 wins, 5 losses. That's absolutely news to me. I think this is the game where United decide that something's going to happen. I like United to win. I really do. I think draw no bet minus 116 for United is the play here. Everton, to me, just can't keep this streak up. Maybe that's like I've been working with Scotty for so long that his hate towards Everton has maybe skewed my perception of how good they really are. I think this is the best they ever could have hoped for with their points deduction, because they're still only 1 win out of the relegation zone, even with that points deduction. So we have to give them a little bit of credit. They've definitely looked a lot better than I expected. Points in 6 out of the 12 games, but I think United's too good. United has very quietly won 4 of their last 5 games. And I think at worst, this is a draw. So you'll get your money back, but minus 115, minus 116 in that range for United, draw no bet. That they have to start scoring eventually.
I don't disagree with you on anything that you just said. United have won and it's been ugly, but you know what matters? Winning.
3
And
points. Yep.
This game is going to be ugly. The fans are going to be loud. And you know who I am joining in solidarity with Leicester, with Southampton, and I guess Leeds, all the teams who went down last year in being upset that this 10-point deduction happened this year and not last. I say that as an owner of an Everton plus 340 ticket to get relegated last year. I have them to get relegated this year, but it's not as good of a number. I'm jumping to Spain. I have talked about this team on this podcast, on live streams, on TikTok, and it is Real Sociedad. They are a wagon that is not getting talked about, and I am going to get on my soapbox and stand for them. They are blowing teams out in Europe. I'm so mad at myself that I said I love Sociedad to get out of that group, plus 135, and I forgot to put the ticket in. Ooh. One of my biggest regrets in life. They're taking on Sevilla, and I don't think it's this hard to me to just say Real Sociedad good, Sevilla bad.
Mm-hmm.
Sociedad and over 1.5 is plus 115. Sociedad team total over 1.5 was minus 108. I love both of those numbers. And I'm a big fan of Kubo, who plays on the right wing for them. Zubamendi's fun. They've got some decent little strikers. This is a team that in like 2 or 3 years, this team can get picked apart and be like, where were they? Oh, they were all at Sociedad together, and they finished 4th in La Liga. So I'm going to Spain. And before we close today's episode, we have combined our powers to present to you a plus 332 parlay. We're sticking with Xabi Alonso's men. There's no way I could get through a podcast without mentioning Leverkusen. By the way, Leverkusen plus 1,000 to win Europa League. I have invested in that. That ticket could die very quickly in a very hard death if they are still on top of the Bundesliga. But if you listened to me weeks ago, you bet them over plus 600 to win the Bundesliga. Right now, I'm being offered a positive return to cash that out. I will not be cashing it out yet, but I'm already seeing a positive return. They're down to plus 340. Over 2.5 in their matchup against Werder Bremen. We're going to stick with that. Both teams to score yes, and Burnley West Ham. And we're going to throw that Man United draw no bet minus 116. Clocks in at plus 332 for a nice little
to the bank.
Yes, that's what we're going to try. Nick, thank you so much for jumping on. Everybody enjoy your Thanksgiving. I would, if you are watching this podcast on YouTube on your way to grandmother's house and over the river and through the woods, let me know. Or if you're going to throw it on the big screen before the Thursday or Friday NFL kickoff, tweet at us at the Plus Money Pod. I'll retweet you. But thank you guys as always. Rate, review, subscribe, leave a 5-star rating on any podcast app. We'll catch you next week. There is Champions League. I don't know if we'll have a full podcast out for it, but I'll have picks, which you can get at Angel Passaro. Follow Nick at Nick Dianni. Follow his podcast at Kicks Picks Pod. Let's stay positive, everybody. Enjoy your holiday. Let's have a good week.